What is up, Queens and Kings? It's your girl, Marcella Thomas, and thank you for tuning into Real Topics. In today's podcast, we're going to dive deep into the question, can people change? I have a very special guest joining me in today's discussion. She's an action coach, speaker, media figure, businesswoman, entrepreneur, you name it. And she has her own company named Creed Global Media and Production. Miss Centrell Reed is in the building, everyone. Hi.
No, I am great, Marcella. So great for you to have me on your podcast. I appreciate it. I'm well today, even though I have a little bit of a headache. Yeah. I'm still good, though.
Right.
Yeah, it's still good because it's only temporary.
Oh, yes, I love that
already.
So I feel like, although I introduced you, no one can introduce a person better than themselves, because I just feel like no one can really speak about you in the manner that you speak and carry yourself individually. So I would like you to just tell everyone who you are, who do you like, what do you represent.
Yeah. Well, I won't do like some stunning intro. I kind of like to leave that to other people. It just feels better. It sounds better. And people choose some different stuff than when you would choose on your own. Yet, you know my name, Centrell Reed, and the owner of Creed Global Media and Productions. It's a media and production company. We are headquartered in the Galleria area, and we have a studio where we rent out for our clients who want to create and curate their own videos. We also help them with that, whether they utilize our production staff or not. The studio is available to them, as well as we help to extend their teams by doing videography services off-site, so at their location, for their conference, for their gala, for their event. Anything that's going to help them to capture the moment and do something great with it later, because you can do so much with content, right? And then we also have event space, and we rent that out for rent that out to our clients and allow them to utilize it either for their workshops, their trainings, or events that they're having any time of the day. And we also use it for our creative co-working space, which you're familiar with. So we do that. And then one of the newer offerings we've had since the beginning of 2019 is our television and music distribution. So our Creed Global Media outlet and platform is where we house content on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, Chromecast, so you can go and check us out there. We're super excited to be one of the few folks in this space, especially here in Houston, and have music distribution through Sony Orchard Music Group and all your streaming platforms. For all the podcasters out there, as opposed to you going to put it out on a YouTube or one platform, imagine that you have your podcast on every platform. So no matter what the person's platform of choice is, they can find you. And that's the great thing about what we offer. Our goal is always to help people win. As a coach, as a developer, as a trainer, as a business owner, I understand what it means to have someone advocate for you, support you, want you to do well, teach you some of the ropes, help you to avoid some of the pitfalls, give you some shortcuts. So monetizing your brand, making it visible, and all of those things is a part of how people thrive, how they win. And that's what we do here. So you want to put your content on our platform? Hey, that's subscription revenue. It's advertisement revenue. It's the business of entertainment. And for those people who don't know the business of entertainment, you likely aren't winning in that business. And it is a business. So that's what I do there. I'm a big family person, love to hang around my friends, travel when I definitely can. I enjoy reading and working out and things like that. Things that are good for my body, things that are good for my health, help me to get rid of some of the other things, like all of the weight on the shoulders, especially because outside of Creed Global Media, I also chair the International Entertainment Partnership and the Houston Entertainment Industry Task Force. And that is an organization that I founded to expand the entertainment industry in Houston. So there's a lot that I do. So yeah, I like to do things that help me to kind of have an outlet for all of that stuff. So that's me in a nutshell. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For sharing. jump into the questions with all that you do, I like when I bring my guests on to give gratitude to, you know, who they are, what they do. And in the short time that I've been knowing you, I have been inspired. Yeah, I don't really know how to put that into words. The conversations that we've had, leading up to this moment, have been inspiring and really compelling, intriguing, everything. So
they've been some good ones, impromptu ones. Yeah, just like a passing in the hallway or just a pop in. Yet, I think those are the really good ones. I wish we could capture more of those moments. You know, that means you'd have to have the camera on all the time. Now, who wants that? Because they might catch some other stuff too.
Right. So, we were just talking about that prior to this.
I'm humbled, though. I'm honored. I'm glad that I'm imparting something good and something that you can take and use for what you're doing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we're going to get right into the first question.
All right.
So, Ms. Centrell, of course, the first question has to be, with all of the psychological factors and learned behaviors that we have in the world, collectively and individually, can people change?
Absolutely, they can. I mean, that's the quick and dirty answer. The question is, do you want to change? So with everything that I do and observe and watch, I think about two things, and these are things that were taught to me early on. Either you have the skill to do something, or the will to do something, or both, right? So what that means is skill, expertise, the ability. You have those necessary traits or the experience that has taught you how to do this one thing. So yeah, you could probably do this job. Or you need to lose weight. You probably have the ability to do that, right? There's nothing that's keeping you from doing it, not physically and not from a knowledge standpoint, right? From all the things you would need to have in your tool chest, is this something that you want to do? Then you have the will. Is it something you want to do, right? Is it something that you want to dedicate your time to? You can have the ability to lose weight all day. You can change your diet. You can do all of those things. All of those things are within your capabilities. Do you want to do it though? You don't want to do it. So when it comes to change, and for me, and I have to relate this to life in general for me, because there are a certain set of circumstances and things in your environment that the way that you observe them and how you relate them to life determines what they mean to you. What is your outlook? What is your perspective? My father was in the military, and I'll say this all day long, and he was always telling me, Centrell, you have to be first. You have to be first. You have to be the first person to say hello. You have to be the first person to make a friend. And that translated to me later on in life that it's okay to be first. I don't need anyone to go before me and do it so I can watch them do it. It's nice to have someone I can see do. Yet, what happens when you are first? You can be first. So, in doing that, and also in moving from place to place, where I always had to be first. I had to be the first person to meet new people in the neighborhood, meet new people in the school, meet new people at church. All of these things, I'm constantly adapting to new environments. I'm adapting to new people. I'm adapting to new ways of the way that these environments do things, and new schools, and all of these different components. And that's a bombarding. For anyone who's been in a military family, they know. I had pen pals probably all the way up through college. Nobody writes anything anymore. I'm talking writing a letter, right? To all of these hundreds of people that I was meeting at, different points in my life. I have been constantly aware of change. And while I didn't realize it then, when things happened later in life, changes came, I rolled with them. It's like, oh, okay, so this is happening. That means now I need to do this. and I need to do this, and I need to do this, and I need to do this. I have a nice long list of thought processes and tasks that my mind builds up. These are the things that are going to change. It's just like moving from one address to another. Now you have to get a new grocery store, a new cleaners. You're going to find a new gas station to go to, right? You're going to find a new way to work. You're going to find new places that you want to eat. You know, you're going to find a new hairstylist. Maybe that's closer to where you live. I mean, a new nail salon. These are the things that my mind goes through every time there is some type of a change. And it has become very natural to me. So I believe that people can change. Change is not one of those things that shocks me. I'm looking for it. I'm looking for it in every day because I'm used to seeing it in my life. Those people who are not exposed, who don't have experience to constant change, it could be a lot. You know, we're not talking about like your big life events, like when someone passes away or when you get married or when you have a kid. That's change. That's a big life event. Lots of people experience those whether or not they've been in the military or they're used to change or not. Those are things that happen in life or you choose them or they happen for you. Yet when it comes to those types of things, you need a little bit more time to adjust, because those are what I call life events. Those are the big moments. There are lots of little things that happen along the way that kind of prepare you for the bigger changes. And there's some people that'll never be good with that. They won't adapt. They won't want it. They'll fight it tooth and nail. And the truth of it all is, it doesn't matter what you do. Change is happening every day. It's all your perspective on whether or not something's really changing. The truth is you don't know what it's going to be. You don't know what it is ever. From second to second, minute to minute, changes change. And there are some people that will be stuck in that one place. And yes, you can change. Do you want to change? That's it.
Wow. That is beautifully said.
Yeah.
Because that is the truth.
Yeah.
So would you say that you yourself, well, I know you spoke a little bit on it, have changed intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, since the age of 18 to where you are?
Oh gosh, yes.
In what way?
Well, let me tell you, in ways that I haven't even identified yet, the things that I have identified, I was fearless. Some people, I remember a girlfriend of mine saying, I think you have too much confidence. I think God gave you too much. I'm like, is there such a thing? Only because it was instilled in me that anything that I wanted to do, I could do. And it's up to you to believe that, because many people can tell you that I actually believed it. If there's anything that I need to do, what do I need to do to get it? Do I want it bad enough? I'm going to do it. And I would do it from moving from New Orleans to Atlanta to California, where I didn't have anyone. In California, I was just like, well, I'm going to do this. And then learning all of these different things, being exposed to people that are way different than what I was used to. I felt like I'm capable. And then years went on and life started happening. You know, you work at a job, and I remember just having some really hard bosses, you know, people that I reported to, and I was the girl from the South who in the morning is, hey, how are you doing? Oh, I'm great. Yeah, last night I did this, and this morning I had some breakfast, I had eggs, I had this, and we're just used to being social. And then I got into a space where people just weren't like that. And I remember being promoted to a senior manager, and I think I was like 23 or 24 because I was moving really fast in my career. And I was working for this director who was so nasty to me. And I started to feel like I wasn't fearless anymore. And I started to feel like maybe I wasn't as confident anymore. And it was all based on my interaction with one person, right? And it made my life for the better part of, I think, a year and a half, just a living hell. Just any interaction I would have with this person, and I was around them for the most part every day, I just would dread it. I would cry all the time. My friends would be like, what is happening? Like, why don't you just leave the job? And I tried. Believe me, I tried. I tried to apply for jobs all over, and it was like I was being made to stay there so that I can toughen up, right? Because I thought I was unshakable. There was nothing that anyone could do, say anything. I thought I was unshakable. And that carried me through years, because that experience, which I later found out, like, I want to say it was like 10 or 15 years later, my direct boss that reported to that director, I had a call with him, and he was telling me that, you know, I had a conversation with that director, and he told me how much he really respected you. And I was like, what? Not for the hard time he was giving me. He was like, yeah, you were really sharp and you were really bright, and he felt like you were going to go far. The long and short of it was, he was married to a woman of color, and that woman was a pistol, right? She was ruling the home, and she was ruling him. And I was the only woman of color in a position in senior leadership. And I think I was more of a reflection of that. So see, it had nothing to do with me, the reason why he was treating me that way, yet it impacted me. And I learned that it doesn't matter what people say or do, or how they approach you, what they think. None of those things should impact you, because at the end of the day, it likely has nothing to do with you. And where I thought I knew that already, I didn't have the experience to really know that. And a whole host of other things happened in life that took me from being automatically fearless and full of confidence to more thoughtful and more humble, more kind, more considerate, and more understanding that whatever's happening in the moment, where there is even pleasure or displeasure, because you don't get to say it's good or bad, it's relative, it depends on your perspective, that it likely has nothing to do with you. It's the experience that the person has lived through the years before they even got to you that determines how they're going to feel in the moment when you say something that lands on one person and they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. And someone else is like, why would you say that? You know, like when you give people a compliment and you say, oh my God, you look so cute. And they're like, don't I always look cute? And it's like, wait, what happened there? Or somebody else says, thank you. Oh my God, I put this outfit together and I'm so excited. Totally different. Now, does that have anything to do with you? No, it has something to do with what happened when people were complimenting them before, long before you ever knew who that person was. So throughout the years, I've learned that I know some things, and that I endeavor to do all of these things that I'm doing now I've never done before. And I learn every day that there's a lot more to learn. Yeah, all day. There's a lot more to learn.
There's so much to learn.
There's so much. And every day, I don't think there's a day that goes by that I don't learn at least 5 or 10 things that I can actually pick up. Not the things that I caught, because you are actively learning, and then you are actually just catching things, right? Because you're observing, your eyes are seeing, you're taking in information, your mind is processing it, and it's doing it unconsciously. So you are catching a lot of things, and you're forming opinions. You're going to form habits from those things. And then there are things that somebody comes to you and says, hey, let me show you X, Y, and Z. Or did you know that when you do this, this, and this, that you'll get this? That is a conscious teaching. So there are a lot of things that I'm learning and growing through every day. And I'm excited about it, because gosh, I didn't know that I had so much that I didn't know. Yeah. So
that's a big change. Right?
That's a lot of change. That's an everyday something. I'm like, snap, just to live in this world, you gotta be on it.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow, I learned a lot.
In just that moment.
One answer, yes. It was, wow, thank you for sharing. I want to read a quote from Seth J. Gillihan. Mm-hmm. It's from psychologytoday.com. and they are not sponsors, just have to say that. He stated that we tend to become more responsible and emotionally stable as we age. These changes generally unfold over many years and seem to reflect a natural development process. What are your thoughts on this?
More responsible and emotionally stable?
Yes.
I don't know about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, responsible. Okay, so I'm a fan of not using age to define things. It's more of experience and exposure. Think about the person who's been exposed to having to care for their young family, meaning siblings and things of that nature, at the age of 8. Maybe they have to start cooking. Maybe even they have to start driving when they shouldn't. They have to do things that an adult should do, yet they're charged to do it because there's no one to fill that role in their household, and their siblings would go without should they not. Well, does that age responsibility, or is that circumstance? Is that exposure? Is that your experience? It's your environment. It's causing you to have to do something. Someone who's been exposed to something like that likely could cook better than me, right? I didn't have to cook until I got older. So my exposure to that and having to do it to survive is different. So age is not the thing. Whether it's my friends or whether it's males, you notice that you can't be automatically assumed to be responsible for things just because you're a certain age. You make 30, and it's all of a sudden you're supposed to have this mature outlook on life. You know, it's like you were 29 and 364 days, and then bam, you hit 30, and all of a sudden it's like the light bulb goes off, and you're not going to go to the club anymore. You're going to start thinking about being married or having kids, or it doesn't happen like that. So it's more of understanding what that person's experiences have been, and knowing that just because someone makes it to a certain age doesn't mean they've had a certain experience. Like someone can go all the way through life and decide at the age of 30 that, you know what, I think I want to go to college. Or someone else had that experience at 18, right? And someone else had the experience at 14 or 16. They went to college early, totally different developmental experience. Has nothing to do with age. All to do with exposure. The emotional stability piece is, that's an interesting one for me now, because I find that we're in a very super sensitive world, and I'm not sure whether or not that's because we are all intaking something, right? What I mean by that is we've got this huge health and wellness craze going on. I'm one to say that I do my best to be as healthy as possible, and I have for a long, long, long time, which is what the whole Building a Better You movement is for me. What can I do to improve myself mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to maybe ensure that I'm here a little bit longer, to ensure that, I'm healthier for as long as I possibly can be? Thinking about all the things that we have in our food. They have stuff that they put in there called preservatives. They lace cans with things when they're putting canned goods, together. And people who are eating processed foods, and things with a lot of dye in it and things like that. Well, it may be fine in small doses. You might eat 3 meals a day. You might be a 3 meal a day and 2 snacks. Now you've got all this stuff going on in your food. Let's not even talk about our air. Let's not talk about our water. What you're drinking and eating is different than what I'm drinking and eating. And let's not talk about when we first started this podcast, I was telling you I have a little bit of a headache. I don't take medication. So when I have a headache, I have to rest. Go to sleep, wake up. Normally my headache is gone. There are other people that will take something. Now, our bodies were not made for medicine. Medicine was created later. So it reacts in our bodies totally different. There are a number of people taking medicine for other than headaches, right? So you combine whatever things you're taking and you're putting in your body. These are all what I would consider, because these are all my opinions, I would consider them foreign substances. So your body, while it's working to keep you healthy, now has to work to process all of these things. And then you're eating. Then you go outside and you breathe that amazing fresh air, right? And all the other things that you come in contact with, through your food and things like that. And then you wonder why your emotions are all over the place. Because all of these things have an impact. So I have seen people that I know, and I'm not saying that medicine is not something that's good. So I don't want to sound as though I'm saying medicine's not good. Medicine has its place, and there are some times where that is the option, and anyone should take the option that is necessary for them, whether it is through a medical professional or whether it's something they feel is the right thing for themselves. Your choices are your choices. What I'm saying is that all of those things combined could be catastrophic. They could have an impact on your hormones. Your hormones are inside of your body. You don't know where the imbalances are happening because we have so many things we're not even thinking of that are in there, and they're mixing. So being emotionally stable is impacted by that. Then it's impacted by the things we talked about earlier. Life events, the everyday stuff. Don't be a person that lets the small things bother you, right? You're one of those major and the minor people, the people that somebody cuts you off, or you're, driving down the street and somebody slams on their brakes, or they don't make the light fast enough and you wind up having to stop at it. That gets me, right? So then you're like, or, just things like that are causing your body to react, and not in a favorable way. So you got a whole lot of things going on. I find that with all of the media and the social media and those things, we have a whole bunch of other emotions going on, whether it's a text message, things that you can't control getting, right? Because once you open up social media, it's not like you can unsee what's happening. You're scrolling, right? So you're being bombarded. And those things make you feel a certain way, right? You see somebody smiling, laughing, then you're likely going to smile and laugh. You see someone who's, a victim of injustices and things of that nature, everything in you changes, right? So your emotions are all over the place. And how many times do you think you're looking at text messages and somebody sends you a note that you didn't want to read? Or somebody sends you something in your DM? There's just too many opportunities for intake. And you combine that with all the other stuff. And you don't realize that you've got a lot going on. Yeah. So for me, my emotional stability, because it's very important to me, is by protecting my space. I listen to a lot of encouraging things on a daily basis, all day basis, because you go through those days and then you get to the lunchtime, maybe you eat some crazy stuff, or you eat a heavy meal, or you didn't get enough sleep last night, and the next thing you know, you've got that lull in the day and you're like, I just feel like nothing's happening. Oh gosh, this day is dragging on. And then you start changing your demeanor. Your energy starts to change. I always will pop up something that's really good affirmations that helps me to, while I'm thinking about those things, not say those things, repeat some things that are really good for me. And those affirmations help me to reinforce the things that I want to reinforce. Like, I am capable of doing whatever I set my mind to. I have great ideas. I am a kind and considerate person. And I repeat those things. It may sound very elementary or trivial, yet when my mind is going and I want to change it, and I want to change my emotional state, then I'm going to say something to now get my mind focusing on that thing I'm saying. My emotional state will change. And that works for me. And I do that all throughout the day, whether it's devotionals, meditations, inspirational readings, words, inspirational music. because everything that goes in is going to impact that emotional and physical state. So, and it also impacts your mental. So whatever I can do to protect myself holistically, that's what I do. And it's taken practice, years. You asked me earlier about, the things that I'm learning that I don't know. I'm learning that I'm still learning. I'm learning me, still learning me and what works for me. And that even changes. Because one day I might look at some of these inspirational stuff and I'm like, I'm not listening to that. Like, I need something more. I need something. I need the next level. Because we're constantly changing. Yet, I know that we are in just the state that we're in right now. It's chaotic. And for someone not to be protecting themselves, their space, their energy, the people that come into it, the things that come into it, the things that you see when you can, the things that you hear when you can, the things that you say, then you're making yourself susceptible and just you're open and exposed to all of the wrong things. And whatever it is, it's coming in. You don't get to stop it.
You don't get to stop
it's
it. I
time.
think that's a very important note that people think there's a lot of even talk about music and how music influenced you.
Yeah.
People think that, it's just a song. Like, I just listen to this song. But, like, if it's a sad song every day, then how can you expect to, like, not intake all of... I mean, there's many different ways. But I remember talking to my brother once before about just the type of music that he listens to, which he has very interesting choices. He listens to everything. But I just remember him telling me, like, it's just a song. Like, you choose to take it how you want to take it. But then, like, I always felt like there was something, like, subliminal.
Yeah.
or, subconscious in a song. Like, it's giving you some type of message, whether you realize that or not.
I like that. Because to me, that means you're intuitive and you understand. Like, there's a reason why you say affirmations. There's a reason why you say good things. There's a reason why you use certain words. They evoke certain emotions. And for those people who are spiritual or biblical, right, it tells you that you speak to give power. You speak to give life. So that means that everything here, it doesn't say you think to give life. It does say that it starts there. Any battle, any conflict, any issue, any idea, innovation, all of those things, the origin is in the mind. Yet it doesn't take root in life until you speak it. So when I think about that, because I've had this and I still think about it all the time. Whenever you're listening to a song, does it count when you're singing it? You are speaking the words out, right? So whatever that artist is saying, and you're speaking it, you're giving life to it. And then you get to see your world reflect the things that people are giving life to. So say 1 million people are listening to a song and they're all singing those words out into the world every time they listen to it. What do they create? So I never thought that there could be a difference. That the Creator says when you're singing it, it's one thing. When you're speaking it, it's something else. I mean, there was never anything like that anywhere in the Bible, and that is my reference here. It's just when you speak life and death and the power of your tongue. So in that respect, my thought is, no matter what I hear, no matter what I'm watching, when I bring that stuff in, it's in. When I speak it out, I give life to it. So there you go with your music, whether it's your favorite song or not. And I'm not going to say that I don't listen to all kinds of music, because I do. It's less and less and less. I don't even have the desire. I only now focus on having habits that create what I want to see. And I'm very deliberate about that. You have to be very intentional about that from everything that you do. Your go-to should be things that reinforce you, that are going to help you speak the right things. Because I'll tell you, I used to watch Real Housewives shows all the time. Yeah, when they first came out, it was a thing. It was me and my sister and my cousin. We would go to this Caribbean food restaurant and we would sit down right in front of the TV at the condo. We'd be ready to go and ready for the show to come on. And the show was coming on, and I was just watching. I was watching. It wasn't like I was doing any of those things. Not saying I even agreed with the things that the people they were doing. They were entertaining. It's reality TV. And I remember hanging out with some friends, and one of the things I saw on the reality show, and one of the ladies, she said something. I repeated that. It wasn't even my nature. It's not even something I would say. It's not even my personality. And I repeated it, and it was so ugly. And I was like, where did that come from? And then I realized, that goddamn TV, I stopped watching it. Because I realized it doesn't matter whether or not I think I'm not going to say it. It's in there to be pulled from, and nothing goes away. It's in there. And I don't want things like that to ever happen. And I knew exactly where it came from as soon as I said it. Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Speak it.
You speak it. So what do you want? What do you want to see? It doesn't matter what anybody else has done, what they say, whether or not you have seen it physically in the real. What do you want to see? You speak that. And you keep speaking that. And you will create it. And then you will physically see it because you will have manifested it yourself. That's all it takes. It's not like it happens like in a second.
Right.
So don't say it and be like, I've said it 5 times. Right. This is not like one of those horror movies where it's like you say the name 3 times and then the scary monster appears. No, there's a consistency. There's a faith. There's a trust. And there is a revealing to you through exposure and experience of all the things that you say you want, you now get by speaking what you desire, trusting, believing, and moving in action. And then you start to see that. And change happens because you're now exposed to the things you don't know and you didn't realize. And then you keep moving to the next level. So that takes years and years. And years and years and years.
Yeah. Even me in my journey, I'm learning. I've just really got into the more spiritual side and kind of meditation stuff. Like the summer of 2018, I think right before I graduated. Yeah, right before I graduated, I was like, something's not right. And it's like, I know there's more to life than I was in college. I was sitting in my dorm room and I found myself not really wanting to go out anymore, hang out with my friends. I really started placing people in my life, or really evaluating what,
right?
Who am I around all the time? How are we influencing each other? And what does that mean for where I want to go? Does it align with it, or does it is it not in alignment? And so I had to get really real with myself, and I had to let some people go. Well, I don't like saying let people go. I had to distance myself from people because I had to really remind myself and say to myself that it's okay for me to still love this person.
Yes.
From a distance.
Yes.
I don't have to get rid of them. And I think a lot of what people, especially in the church, for me growing up, what people teach you is to let people go, cut people off so much. And I'm like, well, I can still love them from a distance. With hopes, I don't know if that's selfish or not, with hopes of individually them finding that for themselves, whatever their journey is going to bring them to, I don't know, become, I don't know.
Well, one important thing, and especially as you grow and ascend and do all of your, award-winning documentaries and all of those things, is going to be discernment. And discernment is listening to that still small voice that's inside of you. So you're having a moment, right? And it's like, something is missing. Well, how many times do you have moments like that? We're born with moments like that, right? And at some point, someone is telling you, someone more experienced, like people in the church, someone is telling you this is the way you're supposed to do something. This is the way it's supposed to, yet you're having a feeling inside that says, that doesn't seem like it's the right way. It's not the defiance, it's more of, I'm feeling like this is not right. We're born with the ability to discern what's right and what's wrong. We know it by what we feel inside until someone tells us, no, that's okay. Doesn't mean that what the person is saying is right. So just like you were saying earlier, when your brother tells you that, I just listened to this, and you're like, I don't know. I kind of feel like there's something underlying there. You have these feelings for a reason, and you get to trust that. You should trust that. To me, that is your spirituality, your connection to your Creator that's helping you to stay on the right track. We like to, because we don't have what we would consider enough to justify why we're feeling that way, we like to say, oh, well, maybe. Steer away from that. What you're feeling is what you're feeling. When you feel like, hey, the people in my circle are not serving me anymore, you make a change. That's your spirit talking to you saying, hey, we're about to grow. We're about to do some other things. You know where you are. Your mind is elevated. Your heart is elevated. Your spirit is elevated. Your soul, all of those things. Now you're ready for something new. And maybe the people that are in your circle right now may not be feeding the best part of you. So no, you don't have to throw them away, because I've heard a lot of people say throw them away, ditch them, cut them, suck them out to the curb, all this other stuff. It doesn't have to be that drastic. You just find yourself spending more time doing the things that serve you better and less time doing the other things until it's no longer even a conversation. It's nothing to even talk about. It doesn't mean that when you see people that you're rude or nasty, you're still cordial and you're excited to see them and you're happy to see them do well. They just don't fit in your space or your narrative right now. They're on their own journey too. And these are all learning journeys. You are learning about yourself every day. You are changing every day. Whether you want to say it's an age or it's a stage in life, that is what's happening. So whatever's happening in here, inside, that's what you listen to, because that's your Creator guiding you, your own special relationship, your own conversation. I remember doing an interview on a show, and there was a pastor on that show. And the pastor was saying how you have to come to church and you have to, listen to the pastor and help. They help you to go to your Father. And I'm not disagreeing that there are pastoral relationships that help to strengthen your understanding of what your prayer life should be or your spirituality should be. There is something to that. There's something to being around a body of believers, right? Church is inside of you. It is not a physical building. And that is what was meant in the Bible, as I'm referencing, that you are the church. So you are the church. And your Creator speaks to you through your spirit. So do you need to go to a pastor for that? No, because you had that before you ever even met that pastor. You had that before you met your parents. Before you even knew who they were, you already had a connection. So that connection is what you trust. And should you decide you want to find a place to worship, it is my belief that you enjoy that place of worship. You enjoy whatever the religion is. Those are ways to help people be organized about their faith. It does not encompass the entire relationship of your spirituality or to your Creator. And should you not have that place to go, should you not have a pastor, you still have your relationship with your Creator.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us that. And in that same light, I spoke on how I journeyed through meditation and where I was and where I feel like I'm journeying to. Even
I like that word, journey.
I had a specific question, and it was along the lines of me, of course, knowing that I can't control the inevitable, but I can control how I respond to the inevitable. And so, if I was a person listening to this podcast, and I wanted to learn more about that, and how do I want to say this? If I wanted to know more about how the power of my thoughts, and how it relates to, I can control my responses, but I cannot control what happens to me.
Yeah.
What would that be like in the sense of allowing that to happen in order for the course of my life to change forever, for the better?
For the better. Well, you already kind of hit on it, because at the end of the day, you already know, and I think we're so funny because we think we are controlling something. You know, even earlier on in the podcast, when you were asking me about, you know, when I was fearless and when I had all of this confidence, and when did I realize that I didn't know anything? When somebody shook that for me, right? So I'm no longer thinking because I thought I was controlling things. I thought I had it all in the bag. I'm moving, I'm maneuvering, I'm doing all of these things. I'm jet setting, I'm growing, and things are working out for me. So it feels like I'm in control. When really, that's just things going well. That's all it is, right? And then all of a sudden, you're driving down the street and somebody hits your car. Did you make that happen? Then you're not in control. So then that's the end of that, right? When you're in control, what exactly are you controlling? Are you controlling the world? You're just controlling your world? Because there are a lot of things in my world, and I could say that they're on autopilot. I don't pay the water bill. Guess what? I don't get to make the water come on when the water bill's not paid. Right. I'm not controlling that, right? What I can control is making sure I pay the water bill on time. Now I can pay the water bill on time, and they could have some kind of an issue, and all of a sudden my water gets cut off. Right. Am I controlling that? I'm not. What I'm saying is that we don't control much. We do get to control how we react to the things that we can't control, which is pretty much everything. And you can do your part, yet at the end of the day, some of the things that we want to control, we don't really need to. It's just out of a need to have certainty. And I shared that earlier, that the unknown is everything. It's every second, every moment. I don't know how you're going to react to anything that I'm saying. I don't know what the next words are going to be out of your mouth. Everything is unknown. You might have some semblance of comfort to know that I'm around familiar people. You know, I'm going to take the same route home from work every day. You know, there's going to be the same amount of traffic every day. There's not much other than that you get to control. You're really an observer. You're an experiencer. You're there. And for me, I don't try to control. Matter of fact, I notice that when I just watch and observe the things that are happening, and I may have to have a reaction to those things, or maybe I need to be proactive to keep something from going farther than it probably should, or at least trying to keep that thing from going farther than it should. There are things that you can do. There's nothing that is a guarantee, right? To think about my day and to watch things happen around me, I start to observe more what I can't control. And I also start becoming very generous with myself. And I'll say that many, many times, because a lot of times we control because we want everything to be a specific way. It has to be this way. It doesn't really have to be that way. And the way that maybe it's going to turn out could be better. You just can't foresee it because you only have one track. You only have one thought of how this thing can turn out. And it could be so much better. You just let go a little bit. Allow things to happen. So I've gotten a little bit better with that. And especially owning your own business. And even when I started the Houston Entertainment Industry Task Force, and I started it because there was a need to bring a collaborative energy to the entertainment industry. So why not make sure that people know that there's a place that they can come to our studio, and we can talk about expansion, we can put together initiatives, all those things. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do this, we're just gonna have a meeting. It's just gonna be a meeting. I'll invite a few people and done. And that's literally what I did. Out of the February Film Industry Town Hall, I invited people to come to my studio to, let's just sit down and talk. Didn't have a name, anything like that. Let's sit down and talk. Let's talk about what's needed in this entertainment industry. And they called me and they came. So we set a meeting, a formal meeting, and we said, hey, we'll invite people. And those people get to come and give us their perspective, because we have over 2 million people in Houston proper. In the greater Houston area, we have over 6 million, almost 7 million people, and growing, right? 4th largest city, most diverse city. We have all these people, so of course, they're gonna share and invite other people. And we sit down and we talk. First meeting. First meeting leads to the second meeting. Second meeting leads to the third meeting. Third meeting leads to having 25 and 30, and now over 70-something people who are helping to push this effort. And I say to myself, what is happening? Because I didn't endeavor for that. And I was thinking we would just do this here, do a couple of things, and then all of a sudden we get Mayor Sylvester Turner's support, and we have the Houston Film Commission support. And people are calling me and they're asking me, well, Centrell, this is happening in the entertainment industry in Houston, and you're the chairwoman, so we need you to address it. And I'm like, is that what's happening here? Right. This is not what I purposed, yet it is what's happening. And then there was, well, we need to formalize this organization. I mean, we've moved forward. We've been doing this for some time, so we need a new name. We need an organized company. We need this, we need that. And I'm thinking, oh, then the International Entertainment Partnership was born. None of this did I purpose when I first had this meeting. So most of the time, when we are thinking one thing, and we're walking in one thing, and we're trying to control that thing, I would have missed out on all of the morph, all of the things that it could change into, it could become, all the things I can become, all the things that people around me can become when they see me rolling with the opportunities, being open-minded, being flexible, because you need that. That's how you adapt to change. And change happens when you are open, right? Otherwise, you're fighting against the current. And that's uncomfortable. That's a whole lot of energy expended for something that once you stop, you realize it's already changed. So my thought is that no matter what, you need to be more of an observer. Don't worry about controlling. And be generous with yourself with the things you cannot control, knowing that what is in your power, your ability, or your strength to do, that you've done that, and that you've done it to the best of your ability. And look around you to see whether or not the universe or the creator has lined up something much better than you could have ever trying to control things. And that's what I see.
Wow. How does it feel? How does it feel to,
oh my gosh.
How does it feel to provide a platform that brings people together, that inspires people, that motivates people?
It feels amazing. Many times it feels overwhelming. it's definitely an emotional thing. I find myself more emotional these days than I feel that I've probably ever been. And most people don't know I cry. You know, they're like, what? You cry? You just seem like, I am a girl and I am human. So let's just say that. Yeah, I do. And a lot of times it's because I'm in awe. I'm wowed by what I did not 100% plan, yet I'm watching evolve. And what I have in my vision is one thing. I'm amazed by the fact that I already know that what I have in my vision is nothing like what is ahead for me, that it's going to be 100 or 1,000 times greater. So just think of your biggest, wildest dream. It's one of the investors that came and sat down with me when we were talking about expanding and opening film studios in Houston, which we're pursuing now. And he said, tell me your biggest, wildest dream. And I was like, well, I thought the film studios was my biggest, wildest dream, and I already told you what that is. And then I realized, no, that's my biggest, wildest dream now. And whatever that is now, I'm sure that there's a lot more in store than that. And then it's going to grow for me because my experience is going to change. My exposure is going to change. I'm going to know more about the space that I'm navigating in. I'm going to know more of what's possible. Right? So I can't imagine what that's going to be. That makes me emotional. And the fact that I would be doing this, not for myself, for the people that need this vehicle. They need access to entrepreneurship. They need to understand entertainment from an entrepreneurial perspective. They need access to the things that Cree Global Media provides when it comes to videography services and television distribution and studios, because they don't have many in Houston. I'm excited about that because as a coach, I know that the legacy is going to be what lives on in the people that benefit from it. And what we do and give to them is important to me. So when I think about all of those wonderful things, there is nothing that I can dream big enough or see clear enough that's going to be bigger than what God has in store. Yeah.
Well, congratulations in advance.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I know. Then I think to myself, what is happening? Because that means that when someone receives much, there's much more required. Yeah.
Yeah. True or false?
Oh, not the true or false.
True or false? We have one true or false before we start wrapping up. As Americans, we are a stable and thriving society.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are. So I guess the answer is true.
Okay.
And to elaborate on it, I would need context, right? As Americans, we are a stable and thriving society. Well, yes, we have proven that we are stable in some respect. Economically, foundationally, we've grown, we've got buildings, we have houses, we have people, we have food, we have infrastructure that supports our lives, that's stability, we have jobs, right? And then we are thriving. We have been at the forefront of so many things. And what does thriving mean to you is the same thing as what does success mean to someone else. So yeah, you can look out and you can see that, yeah, we're stable and thriving on a whole. Then you start looking at the layers of things, and some people are not stable and some people are not thriving. So, and it's not just as Americans, because we are in America, and I love that you said Americans, yet we have people who are citizens or looking to be citizens from other countries, and they're looking to become a citizen of this country. And are they stable and are they thriving? And should they be considered? So we could be better. We definitely could be. You can step outside of your door, whether it's your office door or your house, and you can see someone who's not stable and someone who's not thriving in their American. So it would be both of those things. Yeah.
That's so true. So speaking on that, seeing people unstable in the mental health field, what areas are in need of desperate improvement?
Ooh, now that's a good one. Well, health and wellness as a whole, I love food. I love it. I'm from New Orleans, so I love to eat. I love good food. Yet our food is amongst the most unhealthy, right? Because of the things we talked about, preservatives, and things that are put in our food to make it taste good. Those things, and most people are not researching that. When do you ever go to a restaurant and think that whatever they're cooking for you or whatever they're using in their cooking could be deadly, right? You're not thinking that, right? And it could be, yet at the end of the day, food is grown also using pesticides and things of that nature to keep bugs off of the food, right? Off the crops and things like that. So there's a whole lot of things. Now you've got this organic versus non-organic, pesticide versus no pesticides. And it's like, oh my goodness. So when you start talking about the things that we can do and what is health and wellness, well, you need to know what health and wellness really is. Health and wellness is not just eating salads every day. It's not just eating fruits. And then you may also be taking a lot of medications, or maybe you're drinking a lot of sodas, things like that. I mean, I would say that there's a lot more education that needs to happen. Yet I'm not going to say that there's not a lot of education out there. I mean, we have social media now. We have all kinds of billboards and things of that nature that tell you healthy food, healthy this, do some yoga, run, walk. You've got all these apps on your phones that track all your steps, and I won't say it's that. Right. I mean, I'm like, how many apps do I need? And even when you don't want to turn the app on, it will pop up and say, hey, do you want to know how many steps you walked today? No. And why are you talking to me? Why are you in my business? That's what I need to know. So we have so many of those things. I believe it's more of what we mentioned before, skill and will. Have you gotten so far gone in what you're doing that it's really difficult for you to change your habits, and you're just not willing to put whatever amount of energy it's going to take into making a change? The mind is powerful. Whatever you will to do, you will do. You've seen people. I was watching a video of this guy in a wheelchair who did a backflip in his wheelchair.
Yeah.
Now, I used to be in gymnastics. I can't do a backflip for you right now. And he's taking a whole wheelchair and he flipped it off the ground and did a backflip. How long do you think it took him to learn how to do that? He had the will in his mind. It didn't matter whether or not he could walk, run, or anything. He is bound to this wheelchair, yet he figured, I can lift myself off the ground. Obviously, can build up some strength to do this. And he did. And it was the most amazing thing. So while we know we have all this information available to us, some people will never access it. And when they access the information, they know exactly what they need to do to be healthy. They won't take advantage of it. They won't put any plans in place or make any changes, not even small little things like just remove one soda a day, or smoke one less cigarette a day. They won't do those things because whatever's on the other end of giving that up is not worth it to them. So the health and wellness piece, and them knowing it's not good for me, them knowing I probably could stop this, then deciding I will stop this and I will do whatever it takes, that is the difference. And that's going to always be the difference with any and everything. It doesn't matter what ailment you have, what disability you have. There's so many people that have defied what we would consider the odds. when they may have been born with those circumstances. Those are the circumstances they know. So they are whole in every aspect. They just look different than what we would consider as whole. Doesn't mean they're any less, right? And then they go on to do all of these amazing things. And then you have what people would consider all of your limbs, your faculties, your mind, all of that good stuff. You're in good health. Yeah, you can't do. No, you won't do. You won't do. So the whole health and wellness craze is great. And for those people who choose to be healthy, they will likely be wealthy in spirit, wealthy in health. They will be wealthy in their mental stability because they're putting less junk in their body, And everyone else, well, when they're able to, then they will. Because there are some people who just don't have the access. They would love to. They just don't have the access to the resources. They don't have the access to the better food. There might be inequities in them being stable and thriving in wherever they are, because that exists. So our America has a whole lot of information available to you. And when you are ready and when you are in the position to, then you know exactly what you need to do to be healthy and wealthy. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so in the end, when you have reached the final moments of your life,
ooh,
and you either choose to look back or not, or enjoy the moment that you're in, what is the message and the impact that you are leaving with the world, but especially your loved ones?
Well, and I've thought about this and maybe I should have my funeral before I actually pass away so I can hear all the things that people say. Because you never know. Somebody's going to say something like,
or just show up.
Yeah, like why would she say that? I would hope that I have shown my family, my friends, and the people around me that you start with what you have and you do what you can. And what you can should constantly increase. It should never be the same. What you can do at 18 shouldn't be what you can do at 20. You should be able to do more. When you're 25, what you did at 18 shouldn't be what you're doing at 25. You should be able to do more. And that no matter what it is, when you go after it, trust that the universe is going to give you everything that you need. Not in the time that you want it, in the time that you need it. And I'm learning that piece because there have been times that I thought, why didn't this happen? I wanted this to happen. I want it to happen now. And I'm emphatic about it. I'm praying about it. And in my lack of knowledge and learning later, I wouldn't have been able to handle it. Not properly then. So I hope that when people are standing around and they're saying things about me at my funeral, while I'm doing like this with one eye open in the casket because it's the fake funeral, right? That they say that I was a risk taker and that I was okay with constantly moving forward even when things didn't work out the way that I thought they should work out. That I inspired a lot of people to be better than they ever thought they could be. And that I was fun to be around. And that they have some really great memories or stories or something to say about me that I have never heard before. Because that would be amazing, right? Just, it made me think of one of the interns that worked with me last year. And we went to Houston Community College, their international program, and I was speaking to the next round of interns that were coming into this international program, their students. And I decided, you know what, I have my intern here, let them speak. And I let them speak. Intern speaking from an intern perspective, college, student, all of that good stuff. And just listening to the stories of the things that they learned from me, I was like, I did that? I said that? I taught that? They caught that? Like the example that I'm living, that the person that I am was a lesson also to people, not just what I said, not just the things I directly said, hey, do this. Just them watching me, that I have left something that's going to help them to teach someone else to be better. That I leave a legacy in the companies that I build, and that I'm remembered for doing something that moves a nation forward, the world, not just Houston. That there's an impact, there is a regal covering that I leave here. And I would hope that everyone is able to say that. And anyone that says that I did something that was not nice or wronged them, I hope that they say, and she apologized.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, that is all the time that we have for today's podcast. Thank you so much for just all of your wisdom.
Thank
all your
you.
truth, your honesty, the rawness, the realness, everything. It's been a pleasure conversing with you. And yeah, thank you just for being a phenomenal guest. Where can people find you on social media and online?
Sure, and thank you for having me too. And I'm sure we're going to have more conversations. You can find me at creeglobalmedia.com. I also have my own brand, Centrell Reed and Centrell Reed Consulting. You can find me at centrellreed.com. And we're on all of your in LinkedIn at Creed, CREED Global Media. And you can also find my personal brand, coaching and consulting, at The Centrell on all your social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and also my website, centrellreed.com. And you can also give us a call at Creed Global Media for all of your video, television and distribution needs, music distribution needs, 713-892-5717, and maybe even schedule a tour. We're by appointment only. We'd love to have you, though.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in, Queens and Kings. I'm Marshella Thomas, and what better way to keep it real than with real topics? As always, at the end of every day, as I always say, the most important thing to remember is to always remember to give love. Thank y'all. Have a beautiful day. Peace.